I've broken down my editing to a 4-tier process, and I believe, as an 8-year editor, that I've codified the way that I think when I'm editing. This process can work for YouTube videos, real estate videos, wedding videos, or any big videos that you feel a lot of resistance to editing, where you just sort of think about it and you're like, ugh, I don't want to edit that. Every video is different, so in this video I'm not talking about how to approach videos in terms of the cuts, transitions, and storyline, but actually how to approach the editing as a whole. And basically remove that, where do I start feeling? So this is a 4-tier process, but what do I mean by tiers? Well, I mean the amount of times you go through the video to edit it. You wouldn't go through the video once and do all the color grading, transitions, cuts all in one go, because that would just be inefficient. The best way that I found is you break it down into specific goals every time you run through the video. So let's get into it with the 4-tier process. Number 1, assembly and sequencing. In your first tier, you're going to bring all your footage into the timeline, not all together, just one by one, and assemble it to craft the storyline. Every video has a storyline, or at least an order that the video has to go in. For real estate videos, you start with the outside shots, kitchen, bedrooms, and then you go to the outdoors and then drone shots. If it's for a YouTube video like this video is broken down into segments. So tier 1 is to sequence everything and create the assembly of the video. Tier 1 is by far the most exhausting part, and when you feel that resistance, that dread when it comes to editing a video, when you just don't want to edit it, I find that it normally comes from tier 1, which is the assembly process. And knowing that this dread and resistance comes from this part, I find actually helps. It kind of breaks it down mentally, so instead of having this big goal of I've got to finish the video, the goal then becomes I just need to sequence the video, and I think that relieves a lot of pressure. Title cards and other graphics. This is where you add title cards or any graphics that are needed for the video. So for example, if you have some tracking to do or some 3D mapping, you do it in this part here. Also, if you have any transitions that take a while, or even drag and drop transitions, they would normally go into tier 2 as well. Moving on to tier 3, this doesn't really apply to all videos, but this is what I call the engagement run. And what I'll do with this section is I'll normally watch the video through and mark out points that I feel my attention starts to drop off. And if it does drop off, I'll add something in to increase the engagement a little bit, either some face tracking or some big title cards, just things that are going to bring the viewer's attention back to the video. Now, of course, you don't need this for every video. Like a wedding video, you don't need these big attention titles and everything. First date. Yeah, that doesn't really work. In this section, I'll also be a bit more precise with my cuts, so I'll go through it. If there's little silences, I'll take them out. If the cuts aren't perfect, I'll realign them to make them work better. This is also the section where I'll add in my J-cuts, but generally tier 3 is actually going to take a lot of time as well. And especially if you're doing something like a YouTube video, you sort of have to rewatch it over and over again, just to make sure you're finding all the parts that it can get a bit boring. And then we move on to tier 4, and tier 4 is where I just do the color grading. So as you know, if you're an editor, you know that when you do color grading, it slows down your entire computer and you can't play back your video to watch it back. And so I'll always do this at the end with tier 4, is go through it, do the color grading, and then once it's complete, I'll pre-render it and then watch the whole thing over again. And so that is my 4-tier process. So give it a try next time you're editing a video. I find that it helps break down just how to think about a video and how to approach the edit, but you might have your own ways, or maybe you have different tiers that you want to add into it that are more appropriate for your editing style or the videos that you're editing. But as I said in the start, I find that this strategy of thinking about it like this is a good way to overcome the resistance when you're editing a big video. And once you've done the assembly for the video, it's a lot easier to keep going. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.